Hello. How y'all doing?
I have a dream.
You do? Well, we want to participate.
Ask what you can do for your country.
You better work.
As one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Hello. How y'all doing?
I have a dream.
You do? Well, we want to participate.
Ask what you can do for your country.
You better work.
As one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Hello and welcome to the Bonus Features podcast. Thanks so much for listening to the first 3 episodes, and if you're here new, welcome. I'm Alex Byron. I'm here with Christy Bosch. I've really enjoyed going into the CIA. We're going to take a break for a few weeks before getting back into that.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to tell you the story that I have. This story means a lot to me. The first time I heard this, I was 17 years old and I was forced to read this book. And I do say forced because I was studying while traveling in Cambodia, and I couldn't put this book down. It really astonished me. Being a young girl, hearing a story like this, I couldn't believe that I hadn't heard of this before. And being in Phnom Penh and being in the place where this actually happened, really left a mark on me. So I'm excited to share this with you all.
Is this going to be like kind of heartwarming?
No, definitely not. This is a really rough story.
Wow.
An important story to be told because it's a part of our history, and but it is very hard to listen to.
I'm going to do a wholesome one. So I don't care if we take a hit on the views. I have to do something that's just like an elderly woman that won the lottery 6 times in a row. Her incredible story. That's fine. I won't even look at the views that week just to have it on the board. I'm not letting this be. You know, we were talking about how people are just freakishly obsessed with true crime.
Yeah.
Perfect example this week. The rug story.
Oh,
this woman is just like, there might be a dead body in my backyard. They're like, you're now famous, and there's 150,000 people
I know,
watching
people
your
love
stream.
it. They can't get enough of it.
It's just...
Would you lie down?
Yeah.
Would you?
But our dog is...
If you guys are watching the YouTube video, I'm literally being assaulted by my dog. Okay.
So...
Lie down. I want to start off my story from a quote from the book, First They Killed My Father by Loung. She says, from 1975 to 1979, through execution, starvation, disease, and forced labor, the Khmer Rouge systematically killed an estimated 2 million Cambodians, almost a fourth of the country's population. This is a story of survival, my own and my family's. Though these events constitute my experience, my story mirrors that of millions of Cambodians. If you had been living in Cambodia during this time, this would be your story too. In the April of 1975, the city of Phnom Penh is a lively and bustling city of people working. People crowd the streets, running their shops, commuting to their jobs and to school. There's kids playing in the streets and eating street food. The smell of noodles floats into all the houses. There are many markets in Phnom Penh filled with vegetables and food of all kinds. People of all classes live and work in this city.
The end. Let's just...
Downtown, a 5-year-old girl named Loung lives with her family in a 3rd-floor apartment. Her family is big and consists of 9 people. Loung's parents and her 3 brothers and 3 sisters. Loung speaks very highly of her parents and idolizes them. Both of them are part Chinese. Her father, who she refers to as Pa, is a well-respected member of society. He is a military police captain who grew up poor and respects the people around him. He is passionate about his family and career, and people love him.
Her dad's name is Pa?
She calls him Pa.
Oh.
Loung feels as though she is her father's favorite child, and the two of them have a very deep connection. Meng is Luang's oldest brother. He is 18 years old and described as being gentle and giving. Koi is Luang's 16-year-old brother. All of the siblings fear Koi as he bosses the other children around and keeps them in line. Loung describes him as being cocky and considers himself to be a chick magnet. Kiev is Luang's oldest sister, who is 14. As the oldest girl, Ma and Pa worry about her and her safety. Kim is the 10-year-old brother who is a silly boy and loves martial arts. He jumps around the room showing off his moves and is referred to as his mother's little monkey. Chu is Luang's second oldest sister, who is 8 years old. She is quiet and shy, and Loung feels as though she is quite the opposite of herself. She is obedient. Loung is next in line at 5 years old, and following her is the youngest, Gek, who is 3 years old, the baby of the family. The Ung family would be considered a middle-class family. They have a long, large apartment with many rooms, whereas poor Cambodians typically live in small huts with no rooms. Their home has running water and electricity, another sign of being a middle-class family. They also have 2 telephones in their house, which is very unusual. They have gadgets in their house that would be admired by other Cambodians, like a TV, a cuckoo clock, and glass cabinets filled with candies and trinkets.
Hey, bro, you mind if I come? Is that a cuckoo? Cuckoo? Oh, shit! Wow. He's got a fucking cuckoo clock! Bro is a cuckoo clock! He is goated with the sauce! That's how it was back then.
That was how it was back then. The kids are well educated and go to school 6 times a week and are encouraged to learn many languages, as they are told the more languages they know, the more opportunities life will give them.
That's true.
Yep.
Yeah, I know one.
Me too.
And I haven't had many opportunities.
Same. The most important language to learn is French, as the French have been a part of Cambodia for a very long time. You should know French.
Yeah, it's a shame. If I had been accepted into CSIS, I would have had to learn French. You have to be bilingual.
On April 17th, 1975, the city is awoken by the sound of trucks roaring through the streets. It's an unusual day, as Loung and her siblings would typically be off to school, but for some reason, they have been kept home. In the back of these trucks, men wearing black uniforms with red sashes around their waists and foreheads cheer down to the crowds that are cheering back at them as they drive past. These men are described as having a filthy appearance with long, greasy hair, which is frowned upon in Cambodian society. They carry large rifles in their arms. People are excited to see these men, but Loung is not sure why. She goes to ask her father who these men are, and they say they are soldiers called the Khmer Rouge, and the reason that people are cheering for them is because the war is over. He follows that up by telling Loung that these men are not nice people, and that the reason they are here is because they want us. Loung goes down to the street to watch all the chaos and finds herself cheering for them with the rest of the crowds, though she is unsure why. When she returns home, she finds her family frantically packing up their belongings. Ma and Pa are rushing everyone around the house and telling them to get into the truck to leave. Loung, who is very confused as to why they have to leave their home, grabs some items and climbs into their Mazda. When her brother stops her and tells her they are leaving the Mazda behind, a significantly nicer vehicle than their truck, and she hesitantly climbs into the work vehicle. Everyone climbs into the back of the truck, sitting on top of clothes and food. Ma, Pa, and Gek sit in the cabin with Koi, following behind on his motorcycle. The streets are in a panic. Everyone is leaving Phnom Penh and the streets are moving slowly. Some people are leaving the city on foot, carrying their belongings on their heads. Children are crying as they are dragged out of the city by their parents.
You know, there's always this time in the story, right, where it's like 1939 Germany, 1975 Cambodia, and you go, just leave, get out of there. How do you know that that's the time? What if I'm living through that right now in Canada?
You mean, are you asking how they all know that it's time to leave the city?
Well, apparently these people think that it's time to leave, although I assume, based on the fact that there's a book about it and what I know about history, they don't get out. But you know what I mean, right? There's always
that's explained. The leaving of the city will be explained.
But there's the point of no return where it's like if you stay in Germany and you're a Jewish person past a certain time, it's like can't get out anymore, right? How do you know when it's time to go definitively?
Well, in this case, you'll see why they're leaving the city.
All right.
They are given a reason to leave. But I know what you're saying. Like some people maybe catch wind of like some news or something going on. They go, we have to leave. And you're right. When do you know that's the time? I don't think there's ever a way of knowing.
It's very tough for us because where do we go? Let's be honest. Anything that would like really precipitate that would be caused by America. And we're just America's hat. So we go, that's it. Hey, keep it down there.
Yeah.
The Civil War. Nuclear bomb. Whoopsie. I can't go to Mexico without going through America anyway.
Yeah. And also you have to think of how heavy this is. People are leaving behind their homes, their lives, everything that they've known, and they don't know why, and they don't know if they're ever going to return. So it is a heavy decision to make. It's like during the hurricane recently, a lot of people did not want to leave their homes and some died. Yeah. The streets are in a panic. Everyone is leaving Phnom Penh and the streets are moving slowly. Some people are leaving the city on foot, carrying their belongings on their heads. Children are crying as they are dragged out of the city by their parents. The soldiers are all over the streets, demanding people get out of the city as quickly as possible and forcing everyone to turn over their weapons to them. The Khmer Rouge is announcing that the USA is about to bomb the city, and everyone must evacuate as quickly as possible and stay away for 3 days.
Oh.
They fire shots into the air, sending people into a frenzy. The next few hours are spent on the road like this, slowly moving farther and farther away from the city of Phnom Penh. So that's why they're leaving, because they've been ordered to leave.
Okay.
So it would be like if Canada was like, they're going to drop a nuke in Calgary, you must leave. Obviously, everyone's going to leave.
They're told to leave. What are they doing in the city? Why are they trying to get everyone out?
You'll see. Loung dozes off to sleep, and when she wakes up, the truck is parked.
Oh, is it like a renovation type thing? You know those shows where they leave and they come back and they're like, we redid your room. We have the most incredible modern chic vibes. We got you that island. There wasn't enough room. Did they just do like a full-on upgrade to everyone's house?
Yeah. How did you guess?
Hell yeah.
All right, let's see what they made them.
I mean, their name is kind of gay. What is it?
Khmer Rouge.
Khmer Rouge. That is totally your color.
Loung dozes off to sleep, and when she wakes up, the truck is parked by huts on the side of the road to sleep for the night. The area is filled with people also camping for the night. Ma and Pa start a fire, and the family sits together to eat a meal of rice and salted pork. After dinner, Loung expresses to her mother that she has to use the washroom, but there is no washroom in sight. Ma tells Loung that she has to use the woods and hands her a wad of cash to use as toilet paper. Loung takes the cash, utterly confused.
Oh, God.
When Ma says, we won't need this anymore. The next morning, the family is awoken by shots fired in the distance. The Khmer Rouge comes by to all the people camping on the road and instructs them that they have to keep moving. And so starts the second day on the road. Chatter on the road begins, and Pa learns that the Khmer Rouge forced every single person out of Phnom Penh, including schools and hospitals. The sick were forced to leave the hospitals and take to the road, whether or not they would survive. Anyone who refused was shot and killed. Eventually, after spending hours on the road, the truck hums to a stop, as they have not seen a gas station in over a day. The Ung family is forced to continue their journey on foot. The Khmer Rouge stops people on the road and confiscates everyone's watches. Pa tells the children to do whatever the Khmer Rouge ask or they will shoot them. Loung is excited as tomorrow is the third day, and the soldiers said they could return to the city on the third day. Another night is spent camping on the side of the road with hundreds of other people. When they wake up in the morning, the kids wander off to a temple nearby when a soldier stops them and demands them to turn back. As they walk away, they hear gunshots from inside the temple. Now that it is the third day on the road, people are beginning to notice that no planes or bombs have been heard flying over them. Loung begins to beg her family to turn around and head home as the soldiers said they could return that day. It's troublesome and confusing why everyone is still walking in the wrong direction. She screams and begs when finally her father tells her, "The soldiers lied. We can never go back."
This isn't like a specific race or sect of people,
No.
class. It's just everybody?
Yeah. Loung grabs her small rice pot and cries as they continue on the road for the third day. The sun is blazing hot and there's dust blowing all over the road. Everyone looks tired and hungry. Every single night, hundreds of thousands of people camp on the roads. By noon on day 4, everyone reaches a Khmer Rouge checkpoint. They are inspecting all of the families before they can continue on the road. The soldiers tell the families that if they lie about anything, the Angkar will find out the truth. The Angkar is the new government of Cambodia. Cambodia has been in a civil war with the Communist Party, Khmer Rouge. In 1953, Cambodia was a French colony that became an independent nation. The country was led by Prince Sihanouk, and throughout the 50s and 60s, Cambodia prospered. Although the country was doing well, many people were unhappy with the prince and the way that he ran the country. They thought that he was corrupt and that the government was self-serving. Does that sound familiar to you?
It reminds me of the CIA stuff. Yeah.
Seems like everybody always thinks that the government is corrupt and self-serving.
Mm-hmm. And then they're replaced by
an even worse government. Yeah. The poor got poorer and the rich got richer. And
that would be a time. Sorry to interrupt, but that would be a time to take our check and leave. If people are like, Justin Trudeau is corrupt. You're like, yeah, you always say that. Justin Trudeau is evil. Okay. And we're overthrowing him now. Like
time to leave.
Yeah, where they go like, we're gonna put a freedom, way better government in by force.
Yeah, never.
It's like, yeah,
never
we're
works.
all gonna be in camps.
The poor got poorer and the rich got richer, and because of this, people formed groups demanding reform. One of these groups was the communist faction Khmer Rouge, who launched an armed struggle against the Cambodian government.
Mm-hmm.
During the Vietnam War, the U.S. bombed the border between Cambodia and Vietnam. These bombings killed many people along the border and destroyed many villages, which persuaded a lot of people to support the Khmer Rouge. In 1970, the prince was overthrown by his top general, Lon Nol. The USA backed the Lon Nol government, but the government was weak and eventually was overthrown by the Khmer Rouge and now call their government the Angkar government. The soldiers ask that anyone who has ever worked in a government position, whether it be a soldier, politician, teacher, police officer, to line up at a separate table to be assigned work. Although Pa was a military officer in Phnom Penh, he tells the family to act as though they are peasants and to let him do all the talking. The Khmer Rouge begin rummaging through everyone's bags and belongings. One man has an old army uniform in his bag, which is found by the soldiers. They push him to the side where no one can see where he went.
Oh.
When it becomes the Ung family's turn for question, Pa tells the soldiers that he was a packer in the shipping port.
So he was military, but not in the Rouge. The other?
Yeah, on the other side.
Okay.
Ma says she used to sell old clothes in the market. They search all their belongings and even look into their pots. They all hold their breath as they wait for the soldiers to give their demands. They are cleared and told to continue walking. Another night is spent camping on the road. On day 5, Loung wakes up to her family talking. They overheard that the people who lined up to register for work were taken into the woods and murdered.
What?
Kiev notices that Loung is awake and takes her into the woods to use the bathroom when they see their brother, Khoi. A putrid smell fills the air. Khoi demands his sisters turn back. There's a dead body in the woods. 2 more days are spent walking on the road. People are determined to keep walking out of fear. When their family members get sick, they drop their belongings and carry their family on their backs. On the night of day 6, they camp again. But this time, they have run out of food. Everyone is blistered, tired, and hungry. Kim and Meng go out to search for food while the rest of the family goes to a small pond to wash their sore bodies and dirty clothes. Many other people are also at the pond doing the same. For the first time in 6 days, the kids laugh and splash in the pond. When they return to their camp, Koi has found fish and brown sugar for the family to eat.
He found brown sugar?
Yeah. It wasn't really clear where he found it. I don't know if he found because sugar cane grows there, or if he found literally bags of brown sugar somewhere. On the 7th day, Ma screams as she sees her brother bike past. He has been searching for them and says that Ma's oldest brother is coming on a wagon to bring them to their village. He hands them a package full of food. The family feels relief to get away from another day of walking. He informs Pa that all the cities have been evacuated and forced to move into the countryside. Luckily, Ma's brothers have always lived in the countryside, which means they have somewhere to go. On April 25th, 1975, they arrive at the village of Kang Trup, where Ma's brothers live. In this village, people live in huts made out of straw that stand on stilts. They have a joyous reunion with their aunts and cousins. Pa goes with the uncles to ask the chief of the village for permission for them to stay, which is granted. 17 people will live under one roof with a dirt floor and no rooms. This is very different from the life the Ung family lived in their cozy apartment in Phnom Penh. Here, nobody knows them except their family, and they will have to lie about where they came from and who they are. They will have to live and act like country people, and it becomes very real to Loung that they can never go home.
Damn.
Pa tells the children that the Angkor has abolished schools, universities, markets, money.
Markets?
Yep.
Wait, no markets.
No markets.
Well, it's going to be glorious. Don't have to go to school. We don't even have to go to markets. The government is going to give us everything we need.
Yeah.
So basically, they're taking all the annoying chores that we have to do
hey?
and facilitating a, dare I say, utopia?
Let's find out.
You tricked me. You said this was going to be a sad story.
No money. No
money?
No televisions.
Literally, that's the thing I stress out the most about. And screen time? That's the biggest problem. Is screen addiction. You can't even watch TV.
No 8-track players.
I don't know what that is, but sure. Yeah, get rid of that.
Music.
No music. All right, you're losing me a little bit.
Even clocks.
No cuckoo clocks.
No cuckoo clocks.
No, we're going to the cuckoo party.
Nobody will know what time it is.
Oh, Mom,
ever.
I'm going to look so shitty. No time? Are they getting rid of time?
They're getting rid of time.
I like that. I'm not punctual.
No, because you have to understand, it's changing. So it's not, you have to be here at 3:00. It's, you have to be here when the sun reaches this point in the sky and the shadow is this long on the ground. That's what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
It is very serious that they cannot talk about their education or the movies they have seen. Life needs to be adjusted to farm life, and they must forget the life that they lived before.
Okay. I'm sure that there is an explanation for this, and I've just never been able to crack it. Because you've got these people that are essentially gangsters taking over. And then the thing that they implement is always like, we're getting rid of all the fun and focusing on farming.
Yeah.
So who are these? Like, it's not like hedonism. I mean, it always is that behind the... But why has this never happened? And the guy's like, we're focusing on partying. We're gonna make everything great.
You'd think that these people would have some enjoy. You know what? They do. They do.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. It happens.
They're the only ones who can do it.
So are they aware of that from the beginning? And they go, we just need to control everybody, so we're turning everybody into robots, basically? That's what it is.
Yes.
So they're aware right from the beginning, like, everyone's going to be a robot, and then we're going to ostensibly help them.
Yeah, I think so.
They're not true believers in communism.
I think it's the same as, like, Kim Jong-un. Like, that fat fuck is like, no.
He knows the game.
He's eating McDonald's on the regular and binge watching Love Island.
What about Mao? Is Mao like...
Yeah, it was the same. I'll do a story on Chairman Mao.
These people have there's not even like a week where they go, this is the right thing to do, so we're implementing it. It's just like they understand, like, okay, if you want to be a government gangster, you have to compensate by doing this, like, philosophy that makes everyone happy. They're like, I don't know how it is.
It seems that way. I mean, I personally can't think of any government that operates this way that's not like that.
Is it the same as, like, Scientology, in the sense that, like, if you're at the top of Scientology, you go like, yeah, we're spreading this, like, helpful thing, but, like, in the back of your head, you're like, that's just what we tell people, and I'm going to be the boss.
Think so.
So it's kind of like, It's kind of like a malicious, deceptive thing that they're kind of...
and in the next episode, I'm going to get into the leader of the Khmer Rouge. I'll allude to him here a bit, but I will tell you, he is not following these rules. Mm-hmm. He did not live a life like this.
He's got 8 tracks?
He's got 8 tracks.
He's got all the cuckoo clocks?
The Ungs live here until July 1975, when Loung is awakened early in the morning to the entire family frantically moving about the hut, gathering their belongings. Pa tells the children it is no longer safe to live there. People from the city have moved into the village who would recognize who Pa is, and it can endanger their lives if their past is exposed. A Khmer Rouge truck has been arranged to pick them up and take them to Batam Bang to see their grandmother. They say thank you and goodbye to their family and go to wait with the other families to be picked up. The truck drives all day, stopping only briefly to rest and then continuing to drive through the night. The next day, the truck stops and everyone gets off to wait for instructions. Loung asks if they are going to see Grandma, when her pa reveals that the soldiers had taken them somewhere else and that they will not be going to see her grandma or to Batam Bang.
They believe the soldiers?
They are just lying all the time.
Don't believe the soldiers? You already found out the people that went to the work line got executed.
Well, they don't have a choice. They couldn't stay in the village. They had to keep going.
They don't have a choice, yeah.
At least if they go with the soldiers, they don't know who they are, right? People have been waiting at this truck stop for days, waiting for instructions on where to go. Pa bribes a village representative to get them onto the truck as soon as possible and to get assigned a village before everyone else. They get onto the next truck and drive until they are stopped in the middle of nowhere. Here, they are instructed that they will need to continue the rest of the journey by foot up the mountain with 4 other families. Once they arrive at the village of Ang Lung Thmor, it's a tough word to say, the village chief takes all the families to their own hut where they will live from now on. Each hut is made out of straw and stands on 4 tall wooden legs.
Okay.
Here, families will be rationed grains and they will be required to grow a vegetable garden. Everyone will sleep together packed like sardines in one room. 300 new arrivals have come to the village, but the village is not overpacked as the Angkar is constantly moving people in and out of the village. Pa, Khoi, and Meng wake up early every day to work planting vegetables and rice or building homes, and they do not return until sunset. Every day, the food becomes more scarce, and they are required to hunt and fish for food. The village is running out of food very fast, so the village chief sends Khoi and Meng and other young men to the mountain to search for wild potatoes 4 days a week. 2 months into living in Ang Lung Thmor, the rainy season arrives, washing away any hope of having a garden or crop, and the family is forced to eat bugs and frogs.
Oh, shit. Frogs? They had frog?
Frogs, not bad.
Not bad.
Bugs, not
Bugs
great.
I don't like.
No. The village has flooded, which has killed all the animals around. The kids sit on the side of the hut and catch the animals as they float by to eat for dinner.
Nice.
Mostly rabbits. DoorDash. Just kidding. But
oh my god. You know, honestly, if you had more confidence in that, wasn't bad. But you just had none going into it.
I felt bad as soon as I said it. But because everything is so wet, they cannot have a fire, which means they have to eat the animals raw and soaked in lime juice.
I can't even sleep without the proper pillow.
Oh, you'd be done. You'd be done within the first...
Oh my god.
Oh, you know the day that they have to walk on foot because the car breaks down?
Yeah.
On that day, you'd be taken out.
Yeah. Hey, I'm here to sign up for work. They kill you if you... I know. I can't do this.
The village is starving and people are beginning to lose their minds. 200 people have died from starvation, food poisoning, and malaria. People are angry and targeting anyone they can. It is no longer safe to live in this village. Pa asks the chief permission to leave and to be relocated, which is granted. Pa finds out that the killings have started and that the Angkor is killing anyone that could be a threat to their government, whether it's doctors, nurses, teachers, students, city folk, even people who wear glasses, as they are perceived of having an education, and it's a sign of intelligence.
They're killing people with glasses.
Yes, because they think that if you wear glasses, it means you're smart. Which means that they are really dumb.
Yeah.
That's
This is just the bullies take over, like the dumbest
Yeah.
meathead at your school.
really dumb. In November of 1975, a Khmer Rouge truck picks them up and relocates them to the village of Roleap. This village has a square that everyone gathers in to watch the new arrivals. It's going to start getting really bad.
What
just
about
so you know.
what about artists?
Dead.
Artists are dead?
Yep.
Just farmers.
Yep.
That's pretty much it, right?
People who live in the countryside and farm.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure an artist, they would try to re-educate them because they're not killing everyone. But
Yeah,
if you
come on,
work in,
man.
if you were trying to get a form of education, or
Podcasters?
you were working in a high position, we would not be killed. No, we would not be killed
Why?
because we're not seen as.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, we'd probably be killed.
We're doing a
Maybe-
podcast about the
Maybe me, you, they might keep alive.
Yeah, I'm not smart enough. They look at me and be like, "Hey, farmer, what are you doing here?"
This village has a square that everyone gathers in to watch the new arrivals. Everyone here is dressed like the Khmer Rouge in black attire and red sashes. One of the villagers yells at the newcomers, "Capitalists should be killed," and spits at Pa's feet. We know someone like this.
What is their example of the bad capitalist place? That's what I'm not understanding. Like, if you're anti-communism, you go, well, you don't want to end up like this or this or this or this. They go like, oh, God forbid we end up like the most powerful countries in the world.
I think they're mad that honestly, I don't really know.
I guess they would go like the inequality.
Yeah, I think it's the inequality
Thing.
thing. Like, there's
Yeah.
really poor people and then there's really rich people, and
Yeah.
it's unfair.
If you hold capitalism up to the idealized what they're saying communism is going to be, it doesn't look good. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
500 base people have lived in Roleap their whole lives and are full supporters of the Khmer Rouge. So you know this town ain't good. Among the newcomers are 60 families and 500 new people.
So you can't just like pledge allegiance to the.
No, if you're from the city,
You
you're
can't just
not
go like.
trusted.
You can't just go like, no, I fuck with you guys heavy.
They
Like-
don't trust you. If you're a city person, you are not trusted.
They didn't have anybody in the army that just happened to need glasses.
They probably did.
didn't
and,
have one-
and they're just not wearing glasses and they're blind.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. The chief explains to everyone that they live by strict rules in Roleap. Everyone here must dress the same, wear the same hairstyles. Everyone here is considered equal, and they must be addressed by the same names. New words for Ma, like May, and Po instead of Pa. Roleap is a communal system with no private ownership, and the Angkor are the only ones who own anything.
Well, that's private ownership.
Exactly.
Hey guys, this isn't fair. Hey everyone, they're telling us they're gonna. You think that would?
I think that would go well.
I don't think this is fair.
Meals will be rationed, and the harder you work, the more food you will get. No school for anyone, only hard work. Children learn by working hard in the fields. He keeps farting, and then he hears it, and he turns around to look at his fart.
Oh wow.
He's looking at his fart right now.
Oh my god, interesting.
Could you stop? This is a very important
Yeah.
story,
Have
and you're
some-
sniffing your own farts.
Have a sense of respect. Come on.
The chief takes all bags and belongings of the newcomers and dumps them into a pile, which he lights on fire. Everyone is forced to strip and burn their clothes, as well as wear their new black uniforms.
These guys are so insecure.
Yeah.
You can let us have a
They're
yellow
wearing
t-shirt.
pajamas.
Well, like, you've already killed all the people that could possibly think critically or form some sort of resistance.
Mm-hmm.
You've turned everyone into farm slaves, and we can't even have glasses. And I can't have a tank top. I have to do, like, at a certain point, I feel like it's
Overkill.
it's diminished. You're having less and less return on investment, right? Because, like, okay, you can control everybody up to a certain point, but then it's like, hey, what if we have a farmers' revolt? Like, this sucks. They're
Yeah.
putting us in a bunch of. You can only push people so far.
Yeah, totally. There's actually in the book, I didn't include this, but Loung describes how she feels. She had this like red dress that her mom made for her, which her mom brought because they were only allowed to wear red on special occasions. And they pulled the dress out and they all like scowled and booed at it. And it's like for a child, for a 5-year-old. And
But they're rouge. Shouldn't they like red?
No.
Is it not rouge red? Is that a different?
No, it is. It
is rouge.
Yeah. It's French. After each family is assigned a house, and if there is not enough homes for everyone, they have to build their home. While waiting for the house to be assigned, a large crowd gathers off to the side. Pa goes to inspect why everyone is gathering and comes back to report that a family from Phnom Penh, a doctor, his wife, and their 3 children have committed suicide by swallowing poison.
Smart.
Yeah, honestly. Even though the chief says that everyone here is equal, that's not actually the case. There
No
are
way.
3 levels of citizenship. At the top is the chief, his aides, and soldiers. They get to make all the decisions, decide when someone gets executed,
Okay.
when teachings happen, divide up the food rations, and police and judge the community.
There's nobody thinks this is good, right? There's nobody who's like, no, guys, let's give it a shot.
No, there are people who
There's
think
people
this is
that are
good.
like simps
yeah.
for this.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
They are the eyes and ears for the anchor. Under them is the base people. They are the bullies, and they live in their own houses and do whatever they want. These are the people who have always lived there. They are not required to eat with everyone else, and they spy for the chief. At the bottom is the newcomers. They have no freedom, and most of them are city people. They are seen as having no allegiance and are watched very closely and given the hardest work out of everyone.
Okay, so what are they doing in the city? They drain the city so it's just empty?
Yeah.
Nothing's happening in the city.
No, they actually would use the city for, like,
Hide
for
and seek.
lack of a better term, like concentration camps.
Oh.
And I actually went to the biggest one in Phnom Penh when I was there. Probably the most horrific place I have ever been to. Like,
Even just as a museum?
yeah,
You could tell how bad it was?
it's not a museum. Like, I've been to the concentration camp in Munich, and they cleaned it up. They put a memorial in there. They hang pictures of the people who were there. At the one in Phnom Penh, they didn't do anything to it. When the war ended, they left it exactly the way it was. And you go in and you see how it was. It's like a piece of time just frozen. There's blood stains on the mattresses. There's shackles everywhere. Brick rooms that were literally the size of this chair that they would shove people in, and they had to just stay in there. And it was mostly like educated people that were in there. It's really, really horrible.
Yeah, I guess if you're in that middle group, those are the simps because they go, I used to be a farmer and I had to look at these uppity doctors, and now I get to be boss for a bit.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, I'm not tier 1, but I'm not tier 3. And tier 3 is full of all the people I was jealous of.
But eventually everybody is starving.
Yes.
So I can't see how this is really working out for anyone. Within the newcomers, there are also classes. Former students, teachers, doctors are viewed as morally corrupt, and ethnic people like the Vietnamese and Chinese are viewed as racially corrupt. The Ungs are Chinese Cambodian, as well as former government workers, which is why they have to lie about their past.
So there's no doctors?
No.
What happens if you get sick?
Well, there is an instance in the story where someone gets sick and you'll see what happens. Yeah, they don't do anything. There's no medicine. There's nothing. It's just fuck everything we've ever learned as a human race, and let's just make rice.
But doctors?
Nope. They don't care. You're worthless.
You
if
die
you're
if
you're
you-
sick,
yeah.
you're worthless. You're not contributing to society.
Did they keep a couple doctors? Like, did Pol Pot go, hey, what if I get a cold?
I'm sure that
He must have had a doctor, right?
He must have. He doesn't want to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows that that's bullshit.
Yeah. Every day the food that is rationed out is very little. Not enough to feed everyone, so Pa cozies up to the chief, who allows Keem to work under the chief as an errand boy. The chief's family sends Keem home with their leftovers of rice and chicken bones. Keem hangs out with the chief's children, even though they are mean to him, and he comes home every day covered in bruises. Although they abuse him, he knows that he has to continue to go there to bring food home to his family. Everyone in the family is emaciated.
This is such bullshit, man.
Yeah. The soldiers patrol the village, and if they overhear anyone talking about politics, the family will be taken for re-education, which just means they are murdered.
This is what people. This is what some people say is happening in America and Canada. You ever meet these people?
Yes.
And Trudeau, he's putting us in. It's
Yeah.
like, why don't you shut up? This is what.
These people need to go to Cambodia and see this shit firsthand.
Actually.
Because that's when I learned this story.
Do you know how far away we are from this?
So far
away. And that's
away.
what they'd be like, no, we're not. We're just a couple things away.
No,
dude, we're really far away
like
from
that shit actually happens. And that's why I meant the story really means a lot to me, because I was just so appalled being a young person that this was something that we don't talk about, and that I had made it 17 years in my life never hearing about this. People go their whole lives not hearing about this.
Yeah.
And there are things that happen like this all over the world. And we're so incredibly blessed to be Canadian or American. And then people go, yeah, we live in a dictatorship.
You shouldn't be allowed to say that.
No.
That's very offensive
It is.
to the ghosts
And
of these places.
and it's offensive to people who have survived this kind of stuff and now live in America and Canada and live beautiful lives. Like, if it weren't for America, Loung would not have been able to write her story like this for everybody to read.
Well, that's why I do have a little bit more respect for the people that will say these, as I said, somewhat ridiculous things like, Justin Trudeau, we live in a dictatorship. But at least if they like immigrated from a country where within their lifetime they have dealt with some of this stuff, so they're like extra on guard, you know, during COVID, they're like, oh, they've actually, then I can kind of respect
Totally.
that.
I knew some people like that.
But there are legitimate people that have lived in Canada their whole life, have never
Experienced
even
it,
studied
yeah.
this stuff,
Yeah,
really.
totally.
And they're like, oh, just because it sounds cool to say, we live in a dictatorship. And they say for everybody, there's a liberal leader, and they go, dictatorship, and then there's a conservative one, and they go, he's a fascist. No, he's not a fascist, and he's not a dictator.
Yeah.
There's all bullshit.
Yeah.
And they're all friends, too, anyway.
Totally. Women in the village are too overworked to become pregnant, and those who do have miscarriages. Base people can eat from the gardens, but newcomers cannot. If anyone is caught stealing food, they will have their fingers publicly cut off in the square.
Damn.
And will be forced to garden in the minefields where the Khmer Rouge planted landmines. When someone steps on a mine, the Khmer Rouge shoots them to finish the job, as a disabled person is useless to society. Just think about that for a second.
How is anyone going, wow, this is heading in a good direction? And then nobody has enough energy to revolt.
Yeah.
Right? They're all emaciated, so they go, yeah, this is...
Exactly.
Well, we're part of a really bad history period, but we can't do anything about it.
Religion has also been abolished, and all the temples have been destroyed, including pieces of Angkor Wat, which is considered one of the 7 wonders of the world. Monks were murdered, went into hiding, or committed mass suicides. Angkor Wat is beautiful, by the way. If anybody ever gets a chance to go there, you should. It is one of the most magical places on the planet.
But they destroyed some of it.
They destroyed pieces of it, but thank God there is still a large portion of it that is still there.
Okay.
In January of 1976, Ma and Pa forced Khoi, who is only 16 years old, to marry a girl in a nearby village because the Khmer Rouge has been forcing young men to join the army, and if you deny, they will kill you. By getting married, they won't ask you to join the army because you have to fulfill your duty of bringing children to the community. Mm-hmm. The girl's parents agreed to protect her from getting raped by Khmer soldiers. Mm-hmm. A different teen girl named Davi in the village is very protected by her family because she is so beautiful. All the soldiers stare at her despite her only being 14 years old. Her mother covers her face with a scarf every day, but the soldiers still continue to give her attention. One night, 3 soldiers show up at their hut saying they require Davi to come and help them in the cornfields. Her mother and father cried and begged for them not to take her and to take them instead. No matter what they said, the soldiers still took Davi, and her mother wailed through the night. The next morning, Davi returned beaten and swollen and was never the same. The soldiers returned many more nights for her, and people in the village began to shun her. They came for many more girls in the night, some of which never came home. Some were forced to marry the soldiers and fulfill their duty of bearing children, or else they were deemed worthless. Some of the girls committed suicide.
No jokes.
No. It's really hard to... This is a really rough story.
Bring back the cuckoo clocks. I got nothing.
Meng and Khoi are forced to leave home to work in the labor camps because of their age. They return once every 3 months. Rumors that the Vietnamese are planning an invasion have the soldiers recruiting all the teenagers, male and female, to fight. Kiev, the oldest girl, is required to leave and fight despite only being 14 years old. Loung watches her sister leave and wonders if she will ever see her again.
So who are they fighting?
I think they were just like really paranoid about
You should
everyone.
be. Yeah, you should be paranoid.
And
You're not doing a good job.
I think the Vietnamese had just finished. I'm just assuming, but the Vietnamese war had just finished. Mm-hmm. And I think they caught wind of what was going on in Cambodia. And they were like, fuck no. There was just this massive war in Vietnam over communism. Mm-hmm. And now this is going on in Cambodia?
Yeah.
You know, right next door?
What is communist now? We got North Korea essentially is doing a communist thing, right?
Yeah.
There's, like, do they call it communism?
In North Korea?
Yeah, like the people
Nobody knows what anybody calls anything in North Korea. China, Cuba, Laos, North Korea, and Vietnam.
Vietnam is a communist country? It's not. It's not.
It's not really.
No, they had their period of communism and it didn't
I don't
work.
think that they are.
But China's also...
I've been there. It didn't feel very communist to me.
China is not a communist country, right? They're like
they're
incredibly
really
capitalistic.
Yeah.
It's just that they...
Cuba is.
Yeah. How's that going for them?
Not great. One day, Keem returns home crying and tells Ma and Pa that the chief has fired him. He is apologetic and sad as he cannot bring his family the food anymore, meaning they will starve. They were given no explanation as to why he was fired, but they suspect it has something to do with a man named Pol Pot, who reduced the chief's power. New Year's in April of 1976 rolls around, and Loung cannot think of anything except food. Many people in the village have died from starvation, poisoning, or being killed by the Khmer Rouge.
We are such fat fucks.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about how gluttonous we are?
Yeah.
Are the times where we're like, oh, we're going on vacation soon and we want to have a good body. Our fasting is probably the amount they ate in a month.
Yeah. For real.
Oh, I'm only going to have a steak and I'm not going to have any carbs. I'm just going to have tons of steak and butter and truffle salt and fucking salad.
Oh, yeah. Incredibly gluttonous. And we waste so much food.
And we also just drink coffee. Whenever we're going like, oh, we're not eating, we're fasting. And then we have like a giant latte, a delicious foamy latte with sugar. This doesn't count.
Yeah.
We're slobs.
It's true. Some villages have turned to cannibalism. There was a story about
my God.
There was a story about a family where the husband died from eating poison and the entire family ate him. And they also died from the poison in his body.
I'm so glad we don't have ad breaks. Do you know how shitty it would be to cut to factor meals when you don't have time to cook and want...
Yeah, that'd be really bad. Some people were picking up emaciated dogs off the street.
Oh my God, this just keeps getting worse.
And eating them, and they were beaten for not sharing the little meat that was there. Everyone has lice, and there are so many dead bodies in the village that the air stinks. Large piles of maggots flood the streets.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's really bad. Women carry their dead children throughout the village crying. One woman named Chong was widowed when her husband was killed by the Khmer Rouge. Her baby also died from malnutrition, and she continued to carry his lifeless body around. After that, her children go to the woods and eat mushrooms because they are so hungry. But they are poisonous.
I knew
and
it.
die.
I knew it. Knew it. Knew the end of that sentence was, but they were poisonous.
This causes Chong to go crazy, and she goes throughout the village acting as though they haven't died until she too is poisoned and dies. Gek, Loung's youngest sister, is now 4 years old.
They died from the poison mushrooms?
The children died. And
then
then the mom went crazy and also died from eating poison mushrooms.
Oh my God.
Gek, Loung's youngest sister, is now 4 years old and is losing her hair from starvation. Pa starts bartering with the chief using hidden jewelry they had for rice. Bartering is a form of treason and if caught is punishable by death, but they need the rice to survive.
Want to give a huge shout out to God, who really helped out through this period, oversaw it, facilitated it, omniscient, compassionate God. Always killing it. I guess they got rid of religion. So maybe that's why. He was like just about to help. I was like, oh, you don't need me, I guess.
But what about all the people who still believe in religion?
Yeah, no, that's a cope.
Yeah.
That was the perfect time to go.
And they're still praying. Like Loung even mentioned, she said that she was praying.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. Oh, mushrooms. My prayers have been answered. They're poison.
In August of 1976, a girl finds Ma and Pa and informs them that Kiev is in the hospital clinging to life at the work camp. Ma gets permission to go visit her and returns to break the news that Kiev will not survive the night. She has dysentery from eating poisonous food. She is asked to see her Pa before she dies, and they get permission from the chief to bring her back to the village. By the time Ma and Pa arrive at the hospital, they are informed that Kiev has already died. She was only 15 years old.
No.
They had thrown Kiev's body away before Ma and Pa got there because they needed the extra bed. Pa is extremely angry, and the nurses told them that they should be happy they even got informed, as most families do not. Her body was thrown out with a dozen other girls, lost, never to be found.
Great.
So that's the first member of the Ung family to be lost. In December of 1976, the family is still relying on Khoi and Meng to bring food when they come to visit. Luang's fear of people discovering that they are lying about their past grows every day. One day, 2 men come to the hut looking for Pa. They say that an ox wagon has broken down in the road and they need his help getting it out of the mud. Pa takes a deep breath and goes inside to say goodbye to Ma. She can be heard sobbing from inside the hut. Loung asks the men when her father will return, to which they say he will be back sooner than she can imagine, home by morning at the latest. Pa picks up Loung and kisses her head. He hasn't given her affection like this in a long time. He goes to all the children and says goodbye to them, asking Kim to take care of everyone. He turns away with the men and disappears into the horizon with the family watching from the porch. Ma sobs. The next morning, Ma is still crying and Pa is not back. They tell the chief they are ill, so they get permission to stay home and wait for Pa to return. They wait all day on the steps, and when night falls, Pa still isn't back.
Dude, this sucks.
They all know he will not return, but nobody wants to say it. Ma stays out on the steps all night. After 20 months of hiding who he truly was, the soldiers finally discovered the truth. By the end of the 3rd day, it is clear he will never return. A month goes by, and Ma can still be heard sobbing in the night for Pa to come back.
The entire country is in disarray. The cities are prison camps. The farms are full of maggots and dead dogs and
dead people.
Floating cadavers.
Yeah.
And they still somehow have time between all of that and the mass A-track burning to be like, are we sure that some of these starving farmers couldn't have been like, how are they?
I would assume they're getting ratted on.
Oh, by people who are starving and are willing to do whatever.
Yes,
yeah.
I would assume somebody recognized him and was like, I'll give me rice and I'll tell you about someone who's a traitor or something. That's
just the secret sauce that just makes these stories so much worse, is that they make people turn on each other. Like you're selling out your own fucking neighbor for a tablespoon of rice.
Yeah.
And then after you do it, they go, you're not getting the rice, actually.
Yeah. And then they kill you too.
Don't be greedy.
Yeah. The soldiers have been coming to the village often, taking fathers from their families. Rumors are spreading that Pa was taken to a mountain and tortured daily, but he survived and escaped into the jungle. Someone matching Pa's description was seen fleeing, and word has it, he is creating his own army. Ma's face lights up when she hears these rumors, and she is given hope that he will return. She believes these tales wholeheartedly and devotes herself to sitting on the steps every night waiting for him to come back. And that's where we'll finish episode 1.
Are you kidding me? That's it?
Yeah.
You'll
have to come back next week to hear what happens, and hopefully we'll get somewhat of a happy ending.
Yeah. Yeah, cover your if you don't know what happens, cover your ears for the next 10 seconds. This is like the worst case scenario for me because I don't know the details of this, but I do know that Pol Pot completely got away with it. So I can't even go like, oh, at the end, Pol Pot is going to be ripped apart by dogs in a town square when there's an uprising. Okay, you can take your hands off your ears. This is bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Cambodian genocide is one of the most horrific things to happen in human history, and nobody ever talks about it. Nobody ever talks about Pol Pot. I would argue that most people don't even know who he is.
Definitely not as much as they should,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He should be, everyone should know him just as much as they know who Hitler is. Everyone knows who Hitler is. Mm-hmm. This is one of the worst humans to ever walk the planet.
There's a few people that are under... I would say that there are people usually just know his name. They know like, oh, Pol Pot. Because he's got kind of a funny sounding name.
Yeah.
So you remember his name and you remember the glasses thing. But it's very effective to hear the story from a child who didn't know what was going on. And like, as much as we all claim to, oh yeah, I'm a compassionate person. So most people are not actually thinking like, what's it like to be a child in these situations?
Yeah. And this is one of the very few stories you get where you do see what it was like to be a child in something like this.
Yeah. Because like I've done the Pol Pot history lesson, but from more of a, let's focus on like the political stuff that led up to it and the life of Pol Pot. And then you go through the violence and the suffering. But like,
didn't Real Dictators do a episode on him?
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah.
So that's educational. It's entertaining, but you don't get as much of a connection to the people as you do when you hear a story like this. And this is what it all is. You know, I mean, the CIA thing too. All these little coup here, war here, right? Remember the last episode? It ended with the Hungary war. I mean, imagine how many stories like this there are in any conflict like that. And you go like, oh yeah, I got it. I understand 100,000 dead. But like, they don't just die. Yeah. There's months and months of starving and marching and raping and...
It's horrible.
It's fucking crazy.
And I think that's why this story really stands out to me. Because, like, when I was assigned this to read, I was like, ugh, rolling my eyes. You know, I'm 17 years old. I'm getting this as, like, I have to read a book for class. And I could not put it down. I was so shocked that this is real life. Like, this is real life. Mm-hmm. This happened to people.
Yeah.
And it happened to millions of people.
And it happened for no good reason at all.
No reason.
Yeah.
Literally no reason. It could have... If Pol Pot had just died of a mysterious illness years before 1975...
Yeah.
Maybe Cambodia would have prospered and all those people wouldn't have lost their lives. But we'll never know. And the other really weird thing about being in Cambodia was the population is very young because of this. Because this is recent. Like, this happened after my mom was born. Most of our parents were alive when this happened. This is not like World War II or World War I, where it's like your grandparents took part in this or whatever, were alive. This was recent.
Mid-70s?
Mid-70s. And it goes on till 1979.
That is crazy to go. This was happening. Yeah. When you're saying A-Track, like, they had good music.
Yeah, they had TVs. They had them.
Yeah.
Loung, her family, had a movie theater right outside of their apartment that they would go in and watch movies all the time.
Yeah. Shame on you if you are a fucking college student that even holds a communism brochure. I don't want to see you even fucking holding that shit, let alone there's people that are going to communism meetings. Dude, it is fucking evil. Mm-hmm. The closer they go, we haven't tried...
On paper, it sounds good.
We haven't tried real communism yet. That's why it hasn't worked. We haven't. God forbid you actually try real communism, because you've tried almost communism, and it's literally the worst thing ever. Not an exaggeration. It is the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
You go. It's at the absolute pinnacle. It's worse than war, cults, serial killers, anything like that. The only thing that could potentially be worse is if an alien civilization comes down and takes every human and puts it in some sort of fucking dick-sucking machine contraption. Like, you would need an evil, dark forest alien civilization to invade Earth to be worse than communism. So put on your felt hat. You're going to go to a coffee shop and be like, I'm a communist. God, if I ever see a communist, I'm punching you in the fucking face.
I was thinking about one specific person that we know gives off real communist vibes. You gotta take that out.
I'm going to beep it.
Okay.
Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah. I better not. God, I've been patient in the past. There's a reason that friend group doesn't hang out with us anymore, because they're all fucking cooked. Yeah. She literally said, we just need to trust the government and give them our money, give them as much power, and they'll take care of us. And we were playing fucking Catan, and I went, you don't say. Nice.
There ain't gonna be no Catan if that's how it's going.
Wow, that's amazing. I don't know why we're trading. Why are we trading ore and wood right now? We should just divide it evenly and fucking start raping each other, because that's what communism is. You fucking.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
Well, I got a few stories for us that I have planned ahead. Next week we're gonna be doing part 2 of this story. And then later down the line, I'm going to spread out my communist stories a bit because they're very depressing. But I do plan on doing China and North Korea.
Yeah, let's
and they are
take
like, they're like this too. They are first-hand account stories. No like political history stuff. It's like you get the...
Ant's eye view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I like that.
Go watch some Nathan For You.
Yeah.
Now that you've listened to this and you're feeling sad.
Go spend your money. Take the money that you have.
Enjoy your capitalism.
Out into the world. Yeah. Hit a Whataburger. Go and buy some burgers.
Yeah. Shove food into your face and feel grateful that you get to do that. When you get into your car or even if you ride the bus.
Yeah.
Be thankful for that.
Glasses. Put your fucking glasses on.
Put those glasses on and be proud. And be happy that you can go on to Twitter or TikTok or Instagram or whatever the fuck you want and call your government corrupt.
Spend your money on our Patreon. Patreon.
Yeah, do it.
Patreon.com/Christie's Movie Club. Join tier 2 so you can get a bonus episode every week. A bonus features.
Yes, and last bonus episode, we featured our first listener tale. It was very exciting. So if you have a crazy story of your own, it can be anything, you can write into bonusfeatures.contact@gmail.com for a chance to be featured in the next bonus episode. And the bonus episodes have been fun. We've been talking about like movies, fictional stuff, which is great. It's a nice getaway from this sad stuff we've been talking about. So yeah, and please follow us at bonusfeatures_podcast on Instagram.
All right, let's go take a sauna.
Yeah. See you guys next week.
My little friend.
That was sad.
That was crazy.